Welcome back to the Unleashing. I'm your host, Jared Bueller. Hey, I just want to talk. Just want to kind of get a few things out and talk about some of the stuff that we're seeing going on right now in the world, and from last video that I did with the leaked email and stuff. But I just want to kind of go over everything and look at what we're looking at here in the direction that this country of America is going, as well as the world, for that matter. But, you know, what if the elections themselves were nothing more than beta test polls to find out when it was time to push a direction, like for the country, right? You have a softer way of doing it where they have to change up a strategy, or you can start implementing a communism, socialistic idea right from the start if the people will allow it. The government has done so many tests in the past on how the mind works, how people work, groups, the percentage of groups that they need to do before they can do takeovers, how many before there's a rebellion, that they already know. And when you see the encouragement to just vote no matter what, they get these numbers and they can decide the directions they want to do. You've heard it in different areas as well from me, that Trump was picked years in advance, a couple years at least, to be president. And the way you look at the different things that aren't being talked about, which we, the people, know and have evidence of, it begs the question, is it true? You know, what's really going on, and can it all be trusted? Once you start looking or speaking on upper tiers, all right, because a neutral position is, yeah, there's good and there's bad, but how deep does it go? You know what I'm saying? And that's really the question, because when you're told right from the start, like for me, about the whole situation, let the dead bury the dead, it's like, wow, that's incredible information, but what level exactly are we talking on here? If this is the maximum, where does it all fit in, and how many people know? Is it compartmentalized? Are there other groups within the Republican Party that don't know it as well? Do the Democrats know it? Are they all in on it? Is only one in on it and it's going to be betrayed later? And that's the real question, and sometimes that's hard to find out if you just know the end result from the very start. But I wrote down a few notes that I kind of wanted to go over. The last video I did with the leaked email, I've heard people in the comments say, you know, that it could possibly be fake news and all that other stuff like that. And of course they're going to say things like that. But I always say, look at the evidence. If it's fake, you should know that during the leaked email, the next procedure, which was told is going to be happening worldwide in other countries as well in their own sort of development, that they're going to roll in new lockdowns, that Canada is going to be pushing for more entrainment camps, FEMA camps, prison camps, that need to be done by December at least, all right? And that's just a few of the different things. So instantly, within the next day, 3 countries push for more lockdowns, all right? While New Zealand, being one of them, is pushing for camps to be built and done with here very, very soon, all right? Exactly what the email is talking about. So it's going along perfectly with it, all right? And since that time, there's been 2 more countries going into, including France and other ones that are following suit, all right? America will not be immune to this. Whether Trump's in or Biden's in, only depends on what's the next strategy that they're going to do. They're going to do it worldwide, and we know that because it is part of the end time system. The correlation with what's taking place right now with Agenda 2030, what the Bilderberg have been planning over the past multiple years, but now are pushing towards the wire of this thing going down, and the reduction of population means that this is really going to be taking place. There is no other time in history that's spoken of where this many people are going to die of what they want. They want to get down to just under 500 million people, 500 million people, all right? There is no other time where there's this much die-off spoken of in prophecy that would happen other than the tribulation in Revelation. This is the time. And when you can correlate things like the Malachi prophecy, the 112th Pope being the last before the whole thing ends, and this being the 112th Pope that we have right now, along with other signs that we've discussed multiple times in videos, we know that this is lining up to be that. And if you've never heard me talk before or anything like that, these are some of the evident points that we have to look at this, that we're really getting close to something really big going down here, something far worse than what we're seeing, and that this COVID thing is nothing more than the opening gates, the excuses to bring in a martial law, a socialistic one world government, that they want to have a reset and financial reset, where they bring in a new monetary system and everything else, whether it's digital or something else. Most likely it will be, and it has to do with the mark of the beast and everything else, and you don't want to have anything to do with it, but it's going that direction, and it's going that direction really, really fast right now. The elections are only a couple days away. It's Sunday right now, so it's going to be happening on Tuesday. Who knows what's going to happen, all right? And we don't have the election results right now, but they're still going to decide from the polls and everything else what they're going to do and which way they want to take it. So let's look at that for a second. If Biden gets in, this will start moving forward at record-breaking speed, all right? More masks, more lockdowns, more crap as they push into this whole agenda. Is there going to be pushback? Quite possibly. We are so on the brink of a civil war, it's unbelievable. And what's going to happen with that? That'll be the excuse to bring in foreign troops, UN and stuff like that. So in a way, if they've already prepped for it, then it's something that they want to have happen, okay? If Trump stays in, how could things go? They might decide that the best course of action is to do a full onslaught, an attack from outside sources, and allow it to happen. And I kind of think that that's the direction that it's going to go. There's a lot of people that aren't cooperating with this, which is good. And they want to, they still want to get it done. They have to get it done because it's falling within their timelines that they've planned out between 2021 and 2030. And they're going to push it. They're going to push it one way or another. So I kind of think it's going to go that direction. If Biden were to get in, then they would pull support for Israel, most likely. All right. And if that's going to happen, that could really open up the door for the Gog and Magog stuff. All right. So that means that America could be getting attacked first. A period of time could go on, then a Gog and Magog could happen. If Trump stays in and there's still support for Israel, it could be a simultaneous attack where America gets attacked by nukes from Russia and stuff like that, while Russian troops and things go into the northern border of Israel and try to take out Israel for resources and stuff like that, along with Iran and Syria at the same time. So it really just kind of depends, and we'll have to wait and see what direction, and from there we can give some speculation on how this is going to go. But for right now, it's still kind of up in the air as we watch and see what's going to happen. All right, but it's pretty interesting, and things are definitely getting heated for sure. So we're going to find out. All right. As I watch this political stuff take place, and you look at the huge majority, there's huge, not majority, but massive people that want Biden and stuff like that are so blind to what the plan is and how they're just throwing socialism right in the face of the American people. And how people are just buying right into it, how it shows the pre-programming of getting into schools 20 years ago and what they've done has just changed the whole culture, and it's the younger generation that's been blinded and dumbed down, not knowing their history, that it never works. To want this in, they want their free stuff, only to have their chains put on them and have everything taken from them, but they don't know that part yet. But we're watching it take place, and it really reminds me of kind of the whole court thing that I went through with this guy's pinky finger. When I was in college, there was a guy. He was bad news and drug dealer and just trashy dude. And it finally got to the point where I had to do something about it with the guy, because he was starting to come after me, and he had told people that he could take me and all this other stuff. Anyways, so after being told that I had to leave one day, when I told the teacher he needed to take care of the guy, or I was going to do it myself, I left. Well, the guy was waiting outside. So finally it came to it where I had to talk to him, and I grabbed him up and just kind of held him to his car, which is me gently saying that I had my talons in his chest, and I had him slammed up between the car door and the car door with my face and his face, and I threatened his life. And gently told him if he didn't knock off his stuff that I was just going to basically fold him up. And I let him go because there was a teacher that walked by at the time, and I told him, oh yeah, I know, and I apologize, stuff like that, where this guy then said, well, I could kick your ass, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, that's it right now. Me and you were going at it. And from about 15 feet away where he was safe, he started screaming at the top of his lungs, help, help, somebody call the cops, somebody call the cops, help. His whole facade of being strong and tough and everything like that was instantly vanished. It ended up getting taken to court, and for a year I was back and forth in court. But the real thing came into it where I was called back to the school, and because one of the teachers came up, or not the teachers, but one of the caretakers, the ground caretakers for the college where we were at the mechanic spot. He came up and he's like, whoa, 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 nobody's calling the cops. This is ridiculous, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, this is absolutely ridiculous. And so I took off, but I got called back to the school where there was cops waiting. So I go inside and I'm talking with the VP of the college, and she really liked me, and we were in her office, and there was a cop in there, and the cop was trying to act tough in front of her and everything like that. But as he was talking, he was going to let it go, but he was trying to push on me that there's never a time to be violent. And I had to completely disagree with him, because if he knew my past, not only could I take the cop in a split second, but like my history and everything else, being in the military and stuff like that, there obviously is a time for violence, and it's what holds evil at bay, right? So as we're talking, he asked why the guy had a problem with them, and I told him, well, the simple answer is evil and good. The guy's bad news, and I'm one of the good guys, and for that reason, there's a conflict there. But as soon as I said good guy, the cop lost his mind and called for backup. We got a good guy in here. We got a good guy in here. Where he brought in this big, oversized Samoan who sat down. And as I explained the story more of what this guy had been up to and how I had warned the teachers of him and everything else, the Samoan was completely on my side, while the cop, who is most likely some member of a secret society or whatever else, who was against everything that I stood for, was trying to come against me. Anyways, the cop then goes, I'm going to recommend they don't let you come back to college. You're too dangerous, blah, blah, blah. And I never said anything about my past or anything like that. I just said there's some times where you have to put your hands on people on occasion. And anyways, it went to court, and back and forth for a whole year, until finally my court date was appeared, and the whole thing was over the kid's scratched pinky right behind his left knuckle. There was about an 1/8 to a 1/16 of an inch in length, so we're talking like just minuscule of a scratch. And I went to court for it, and they were trying to charge me with disorderly conduct, fighting in public, swearing in public, something else, and something else that they added, which it was originally, that was not even part of it, but it was only at the end. But anyways, so as we're going through this court thing, the judge, he's out for me. He wants me bad. And from what's going on with him and the district attorney, who was extremely good looking and young, I'm guessing there was some she who was trying to make a name for herself. There might have been some extra activity that was going on between the two. Or the judge might have been an Illuminati member, all right? Because they were out for me so badly that it was unbelievable. And this is during the Obama administration, right? Me being a veteran and everything else. They were trying to lock me up, at least starting for 6 months. And they wanted to give me a felony for this guy's pinky finger being scratched, right? And the whole deal. Well, anyways, college professors, everybody comes in, and I know what's up with the judge. I know that he's got some Obama administration stuff. He's probably a Satanist. There's some sexual activity going on with him and the district attorney, that he's doing a favor for her. She's trying to get a name for herself. The whole thing is a complete crap show, right? And I am dealing with the typical nonsense of the bad guy who's coming after me because they don't like me, right? And the jury is up in the air going, why are we even in here for this guy's pinky finger being scratched? Because it's so absolutely absurd, right? So after the teacher that got called in for seeing the whole thing in the first place, and my professor, which I covered for because I had told him multiple times he needs to keep an eye on him 2 months in advance. That guy was going to eventually come after me, which is what happened. And I stepped out of the way because I sensed him coming up behind me. And he went to check me. and I stepped out of the way and he blew past. And I was pretty upset about it because two guys that were at a restaurant the night before, I was already in it with the teacher, and he had talked to me. One had got out of prison, and you know, it's the same thing that I always deal with. And the whole restaurant, they were sizing me up the whole time, and I was mad because because it. You know, I can't stand it. The law will protect the bad guys more than the good guys. This guy had his feet up on the table at this restaurant, and it looked like he'd just gotten out of prison and was just being a complete piece of crap. And if I went over there and manhandled the guy and threw him out of the restaurant, not only would it be the right thing to do, but then the bad guy himself would do what they always do, call the cops. Help, help, somebody call the cops, right? In absolute terror. And then the cops come and I get busted, right? So the bad guy's allowed to get away with it. And the next day at college, I was having a really bad day, and the teacher came and was like, "What's your mood all about?" And I told him about the night before, and I'm like, "It just makes me mad." He's like, "Beeler, you can't let that stuff bother you." And I had told the teacher already 2 months before about this kid, and then he was looking for trouble with me, right? And so the teacher already knew about it. So after he tried to check me, I go back over to my work area because we're in a big shop doing mechanic stuff. And the teacher's like, "Now what's wrong?" And I'm like, "That guy, he just tried to pull some crap." And I'm like, "I told you this was going to happen." I was like, "Either you talk to him, I'm going to talk to him." And the teacher sent me home. And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" Well, I had an A in the class. I'm like, "You know what, whatever." He's like, "You're in a bad mood, just go home." And I'm like, "Okay." So I did. Well, lo and behold, that kid was out there waiting for me. And I was like, "That's it," you know? So I finally had to talk to him. So, I mean, the whole thing was me just being set up the whole time anyways. The bad guys coming after me like usual. And like usual, you know, they can talk all they want, but when it comes time to dish it out, it's, help, help, somebody call the cops. It's absolutely ridiculous, right? So 10 hours in court goes on with this as the judge is watching, and the cop gets called in, and he's like, "Because all I remember is that Jared was saying that he was a good guy. He was a good guy." And every time he said that, the judge's eyes got darker and darker as he just stared at me. And this kid goes up on the stand, and he's like, "I could kick Jared's ass if I wanted to, blah, blah, blah. But I was decided to do the right thing and call the cops." And I'm looking at my lawyer, and my lawyer's like, "Don't say anything, just let him dig a hole." The judge isn't even watching the kid. He's just watching me, waiting for a reaction with a smile on his face. And I mean, they wanted me so bad. It was like being in the presence of evil. But like I say, well, I know who the judge is. The judge knows who I am, right? The jury is like, "What's going on here?" Completely oblivious to the whole thing, all right? Anyways, into the story, I get off. The jury comes back, and they're like, "Not guilty on all charges," and I walked out of there. My brother was in the courtroom who said, "Yeah, that's great." The judge stands up in an absolute uproar and says, "You will show no emotion in my courtroom," packs up his stuff and walks out, right? Furious, absolutely furious that they couldn't get me. So after it's all over or whatever, you know, I was off, and that's the good news. But it reminds me of the position that the world is in, all right? There are forces of darkness, and sorry for the long story, there are forces of darkness out there that are trying to do things that are so sinister that they want to kill off almost 95% of the whole population of the earth. We know that they're going to even get to that point, all right? Because that is what lines up with what's in the Bible, and they actually get away with it. And God says if he hadn't shortened the time, that no flesh would be left alive. This is what they want to do, okay? So, as we know this, all right, Christians, people that watch, and we see this taking place, evil knows that we know, and we talk about it. And they're doing everything that they can to stop us, to put us away, all right? Well, they put on a good front that everything's going to be okay, and we're the bad guys, while we try to make on the point, hey, they're trying to kill you. You might want to rebel against that, okay? And the rest of the world is going, what is going on here? Like the jury, right? As we try to tell them and convince them, hey, we're the ones that are right in this situation. They're the bad guys, all right? So that is kind of the whole situation in this whole thing, you know. We warn everybody that we can, while the forces of darkness do everything that they can to convince the world that they're okay, we need to go away so that they can have peace, right? Right? Like on Star Wars when the Emperor is like, "Oh yeah, if we kill all the Jedi, then we can have peace," all right? Because that's exactly the direction that they're going with this. And it constantly reminds me of that when I see this stuff, and how it's so similar in that direction. And it's the world that needs to wake up to it, because right now they're completely blind to it. They have no idea what's actually coming, and they see the COVID stuff and all this, and they want it to go away. And what people need to realize is nothing's going away. Where we are right now, it's never going back to the way that it was, ever. It's done. They've set the fuse. They've lit the fuse. And when this thing blows, it's done. And it's going to happen very soon. But it's never going back to the way that it was before, ever again. And it's a hard reality that people need to wake up to. And this is why you need to be right with God, because if you're not, you're going to be left when it explodes. And the death toll is going to go through the roof, and you can't even imagine. You're going to see more horrific stuff than you could possibly imagine, okay? So, this is why we warn people, all right? And we're constantly trying to wake them up and show them what is going on with this. And it's getting unbelievably bad, but it's not. This is only the opening steps. When it gets really bad, people, it's going to blow people's minds. That they're going to have no idea. People are just going to want to die. All right, so it's pretty crazy. All right. Now, with the whole thing and what I was going with in the beginning, about them choosing and everything like that, I want to get into some of the stuff in this upper tier, because in a neutral position, obviously, Trump good, Biden bad, except for the extremely dim-witted that think that Biden is somehow good, all right? That's like a whole other level that blows my mind. But on a neutral position, Trump good, all right? But let's start taking it up a little bit, all right? There are other things that he has done that doesn't show a left-right. It shows the plan going forward, all right? Israel, for instance, all right? The stuff in the peace deals taking place are for them to get a third temple that the Antichrist will go into, all right? They want this to happen. Why? Because the Antichrist is on standby, and we know this happens during the tribulation, all right? This time period, which looks like it's going to be happening between 2021 and 2030, okay? So it's very interesting, all right? Another thing, that Trump has done, all right? When he went after bump fires and some of their stuff that has to do with weapons, this is our Second Amendment rights. It don't seem like that big of a deal, all right? But others have pointed out it is the stepping stones for total gun confiscation, and they want to do that so that there's no fight back, all right? Because when guns are gone, then the people have no power, they have no say. And just like the visions have seen of America, when the takeover does happen, guns don't seem to be aplenty. It looks like their plan goes forward, all right? All right? Another thing, all right? The whole pedophilia thing, all right? They have the Hunter documents, the FBI, Trump does, they've seen it, all right? They know about the pedophilia, they know about Biden and everything like that. Why does this stuff never get brought up? That's a very important question, all right? Instead, China stuff will be brought up and everything like that, but the pedophilia seems to be so taboo, they never touch on it. Why is that? Do they have something on Trump? Is it not allowed? Are they only supposed to talk about certain things where they can get a little bit of within the parameters? But that's one thing they don't talk on, because it has to do with all their secret societies. And you can't tell me that you haven't noticed Trump's constant hand, all right, with the sacred feminine that he does at every single meeting, all right? He is a part of the secret schools, all right? Is he an outsider? No, he's never been an outsider. He is part of an insider. Is it an aspect of a good insider? Is it something that's allowed for this time? That's hard to say, but he is picked, and everything seems to be going forward exactly the same way. Whether it's Biden or Trump, we're still moving in the same direction of total takeover and what the world has planned. So, that's very important. That's very interesting. Is Obama in control of the Trump administration secretly? All right, that's a very important question. Is he, and is the whole front with those two just that, a front? That they're actually taking orders from him? Because all the stuff that I have ever heard, everybody is taking orders from him. They built that guy, all right, from the ground up, just like the movie Twins, all right? The stuff that he has, the connections that are involved with him, they go back so far that it's unbelievable. And you guys have heard me talk on it multiple times before. But that guy quite possibly is the Antichrist, okay? So people have had dreams about it, I was told the one thing, there's nobody else so far that has fulfilled all the prophecy of what the Antichrist does. Obama was checking it off. So is Trump taking orders from him for a certain time and getting the peace plan in order for the third temple to be built, for Obama to step out on the scenes? Because if he is taking orders for him, the confirmation can be happening behind the scenes with each one. All right, if he's just a proxy of him, and Obama's a master of proxies, especially when it comes to building and creating ISIS, so that we could go in there. Not only are they killing Christians and everything else, we're getting more supplies from other countries and stuff like that. It's so sinister, it's unbelievable. But using Trump to get the third temple built, basically bringing in a ringer, all right, only for you to step out later, he could be confirming the whole thing behind the scenes. And we already know that Jared Kushner is best buddies with George Soros, who works with Obama and everything else behind the scenes, all right, who is making the peace deal stuff happen, all right? So let's say Biden gets in. Will that still be allowed to go forward? Could it be? Could he still be working behind the scenes, or does it need to be taking place right now? Do they need more time? If it's not enough time, because they're also trying to fool the world at the same time. Do they need more time? If they do, then Trump will be allowed to be staying back in. If everything's in plan and they can still move it forward without him, and they want to get America under control right now, then maybe they'll put Biden in. It really kind of depends on how that whole thing is going to go. So you know, we're watching and we're waiting to see, but we can come up with at least a game plan on how this goes afterwards. But right now we wait and we watch, and that's just kind of the way it is. I want to bring up something else. As we see this moving forward, like the email, and they're pushing for it fast and hard, and it's all over the world. And we know that this is looking like the opening scenes for the tribulation and for it to take place. And for a long time now, all right, like I say, I've been warning people since 2014 heavily, actually 2013, all right, with my fire crew. That was kind of like the opening scene for me, getting a real taste for talking to people a lot. But as we watch this happening, and there's been a speculation of the 70, 80-year generation, and 2017 comes along and nothing happens, all right? And between the years, we look, you know, is it going to happen now? Is it going to happen now? All right, we're getting up to the wire. All right, and last year I said if it's going by a 360-day calendar, it might start next spring, all right? But after that blew past, now I'm saying if we're going by the Gregorian 365-day calendar, then we're going to hit the 73-year mark, May 14th, this coming next year in 2021, all right? You guys know the whole backstory with this. If the 7-year tribulation happens between that and the 80 years, if it's going to, okay? And it's not going to roll past it. And God seems to be pointing people in so much that he is coming back very soon. And it is going to be that time, which is what he's told me, which is what he's shown others. That it's very interesting, because now that we see this rolling out in the way that it is, it looks like that is finally giving us the evidence that we need, that it really is going to happen within 73 years. And that is pretty amazing. That is unbelievably exciting, because now we're getting down to a point that if it really is going to happen, that's almost something that you can lay back on, like a huge comfort, all right? That by 73 years, this does get fulfilled exactly like he said it would. The tribulation will fall between now and 2028. And the whole thing really does go down just like that. And those that are walking with God, who have given their life to him, get blasted out of here, all right? And I love thinking about it. I think about it every day. When I experienced that in 2014, it's the most exciting, awesome, amazing thing that I've ever had happen to me in my entire life, is going to be for real. And finally, finally the chains will be taken off. And that's awesome. And the way that we're looking at right now, that's exactly what it's looking like. And that gets me so jacked. You see, my entire life, I have hated bad, evil. I've come against it. Bullies from a young age, first grade, protecting other kids, fighting against bad guys, wanting to do more always. Until you finally get to the point where it's like this is a worldwide thing that needs to be taken on. As God pulls me along further, all right? That the military is not enough. That shooting for Delta Force isn't enough. There is nothing enough. There is only one way to do it, and that is with God. That is to finally take out the trash. And I feel like I've been chained my whole life from doing what I do best, which is fighting and taking people out. They're always coming up. They're always doing what they can to stop me. And even, I'll be honest, I am held back by God on certain things, and not doing it, and for His purpose that He has, because sometimes bad stuff has to happen so that people can see the truth in all this. And I call the channel The Unleashing, but I feel like I'm the most chained individual in the world on occasion. Not occasion, most of the time. And I can't wait to feel that freedom that I felt blasting out, because that is finally the power. That is the power to stop evil once and for all, to eradicate it from the earth. And those that are with God will get to do that, that you will get to ride into battle, and it is legendary. The only one that I know that has actually seen even a part of that was Elie Marzulli, when he was showing that vision of riding back. And the stuff that people are going to see, for those that make it, it's just going to blow your mind. You have no idea how awesome it is. You can take all the coolest movie ideas from different things that you've seen from Avatar and everything else, and you cannot even, it won't even hold any weight to what heaven's going to be like, the animals, the things that we're going to see later on, the eternity to enjoy it. It's just going to blow your mind. It's absolutely incredible. But I long for it constantly. I look for the day. I warn anybody that I possibly can to have this hope. And, just like I was talking about the whole court situation, the rest of the world, they don't know. There's people that I run into all the time, and they're searching for those answers. They want to know the truth. They're looking for something. What does it all mean? And it's our job to show them in the kindest, most possible way that we can the truth, and let them know that God is real. The whole story is real. There's scientific evidence in every single aspect of it to point that it's real, and to lead them to give their lives to God so that they can experience that they can pass this test called life and step into immortality, where they're going to experience true life and get out of this cesspool, this hellhole that we're in right now, which isn't absolutely terrible, right? And only getting worse. But, that's what we're constantly trying to do. And, it's just awesome. It's awesome being with God. It's awesome working with Him. And the things He does for those that are with Him and love Him, He will step in there, and He will save the day. It's amazing, and the bad guys don't stand a chance. It's totally awesome. I've experienced it firsthand, and I think the people that are around real Christians too, they know that there's a power there, even if they don't want to admit it, and there's a safety there. And that day when I was in Iraq, it was the last firefight that I was in. We were outnumbered. There was like 100 guys around us, and it was Al Qaeda they brought in from up in Afghanistan, from what we were told, anyways. And Plassard, he was the only one that got hit on from his mortar or whatever, but I was running the other one, and everybody around us were saved that day. Was that God? Absolutely. And was He looking out for me? Absolutely. But everybody else that was along with me, why God's watching out for me, is also saved at the same time. And there's something just so awesome about that. It's proof right there, that you want to be around Christians. You want to be around real warriors, that love God, because there's a protection, there's a defense there also for those people, and hopefully it's enough to prove to them that that's what they need to do. That's what they need to cry out in their hour of desperation, when the walls are closing down, when they're closing in. But no matter how outnumbered you are, and there's so many stories in the Bible where it's that way, and God shows up and the bad guys just get totally annihilated. And that's exactly what happened that day. I mean, they thought they had everything they needed to come in there and get us. And I was a Christian then, like I have been the whole time, and I prayed to God the whole time. I had a Bible with me at all times on my shoulder, inside my pocket of my ACUs, my uniform. And they came in there that day. They drove the first one. I think it was 1,000 pounds. It was a vehicle IED in there, a V-bed. Blew the place up. And then 5 minutes later, they drove another one that had over 2,000 pounds in it in a water truck, blew the whole place up. Well, they had 100 guys across the street waiting to come through and take us out. And there was only about 20, 25 of us that were there, because the rest of the group of Bravos that were there were down the road, a squad of them. And so they were pinned off at the same time. So, I mean, we were so outnumbered, it was like 5 to 1 or whatever, And like I say, God shows up. I get on the gun. We start dropping rounds across the street, danger close. And after a half an hour firefighter or so, there's no bad guys left. What they thought was the perfect plan to come in there, is just absolutely total annihilation. And there's just pieces of terrorists all over the place. Heads, back, lower lumbars. There's nothing left of them. They're totally decimated. And, I love it. I absolutely love it because it shows God's power at work, and that's how it is when you're with him. The bad guys, they've got all these plans right now, and I think about it all the time. They've got portal devices to go try to storm heaven, like they were going to do at the Tower of Babel that we got from Baghdad in 2003, opening night when we went into Iraq, all right? They've got antimatter bombs, supposed that they can take out solar systems. They've got portals. They've tried time travel, going back to assassinate Jesus during Project Pegasus. I mean, they have all this stuff, all right? They're working at CERN right now, which is what started the Mandela effect, all right? To crash dimensions so that there's only one left where they win in a reality, since there's all different versions. And yet, just like the terrorists that day that thought they were going to come in, and there's one Christian there, me, as far as I know, and God comes in and saves the whole day, just like that, he will reach out, he will save people. And they think they have everything planned, that they're going to win in Armageddon, they're going to destroy God. And the stupidity of the whole thing is he's holding all the atoms in the universe together in our realm, and everything else. They wouldn't cease to exist even if they did take him out, which is impossible. But their plans are so folly. When we come back with him, and I've experienced the power, I was in that experience during 2014. I got to feel it. It's the most amazing thing ever. I've never felt such unbridled, unchained, unrelenting, just incredibly awesome power. There's just one child of God, adopted child, who's given their life to God. You have more power than you could possibly imagine. The armies of the world can't even stand a chance against you. When we come back, there is no plan that they have which succeeds. They're annihilated completely. It's totally awesome, because that is what I've been after the whole time, to vanquish evil from the earth. And it's going to happen. And those that are on the winning team, those that are with the winning team, those that have given their life to God, you'll get to experience that. And then you'll get to experience all the reward, the eternity, the awesome power, the joy, the freedom. God is the author of freedom. He invented it. All right? You will get to experience it on an unimaginable level. It's just going to blow your mind. So give your life to God before it's too late, all right? And if you've never heard of any of this before, seriously consider it. There's more than enough evidence that you can look at that it's all real, and that the enemy that we're actually facing are all Satanists, all right? And they know that it's real, all right? Just like the judge, the Satanist judge, knew who I was, and I knew who he was, all right? They know that Christians are real. They know that there's power there. We know that evil has an agenda to kill everybody. But if the public finds out, they could overthrow them. And that is the jury, all right? And you, as the jury, if you're watching this and you don't know, have to make up your mind. Are you going to be for good, or are you going to be for evil? You have to see past what is being presented to you and look deeper, all right? And if you do that, you're going to see the truth, that there's a war between good and evil that's been waging on for years and years, and it's coming to a climax, and you need to be on the winning team, all right? Because if you're not, you're going to perish. And I don't want that for anybody, all right? I want you to make it. I want you to win, all right? This is a few things that I just want to get out, and I kind of like just talking sometimes. It's nice, all right? But some things to think about, all right? Pay attention. This is going down. It looks like this is going to happen within the 73-year mark. I'm looking at next spring in May, around May 14-ish, because that's when that originally happened, all right? So, I mean, all of it's exciting. Could it happen before? Yeah. Could it happen after? Yeah. But right now, that is the timeline that I'm looking at, and that is totally awesome. And the way things are pushing at the level that they are, what they're trying to usher in the tribulation, I'd say this baby's about to break loose. It's about to go down, and that's totally awesome for those looking to get out of here. And I'm an ambassador. I work for God. When it's my time to get out of here, I'm going without hesitation. I do not want to stick around. I long to suit up, to get changed, to feel the awesomeness again, and to become who I was born to be. And I put everything in my life towards that direction. I'm stocking up for it. I'm trading what I can't keep, all right, for the things that I will have for eternity, all right? I'm putting my treasure in heaven. And I encourage everybody else to do the same thing, all right? God bless. I'll touch you next time on Unleashing. Bye.